My name is Emelia Hewitt and I'm an artist in residence on the top floor of the museum. Whilst at the museum, I've been exploring the taxidermy, birds, the plants in the greenhouse, insects and plants in the archive, and I've been using cyanotypes, chlorophyll printing and printing in the darkroom. To make cyanotypes you have to use a darkroom. There's no darkroom in the museum, so we've got a darkroom tent in the space. And to make them, I mix chemicals together and paint them onto paper in the dark. When they're dry, I take them outside and use the sunlight to print the objects with shadows and pictures on acetate. I enjoyed visiting the herbarium and looking at the plants and seeing the cyanotype box. And the pressed flowers. We looked at all the old plants and also found some old slides. One of my favourite things we saw was a book where every page was made using cyanotype, even the writing and the cover. But it's really old and fragile, so you can't touch it. My favourite place at the museum is the outside courtyard. I've taken lots of pictures there using different cameras like 35mm and medium format. I've also done lots of cyanotypes with the shadows from the plants and cyanotypes of drawings I've done in the courtyard. I like the courtyard because there's lots of nice old buildings and there's lots of plants and trees that make nice shadows. I've been to the archiving room to see and use their fancy cameras. Kaylee showed me how to use Capture One, which lets you take photos and see the pictures on the computer. I enjoy making work in the courtyard and doing cyanotypes with the plants and shadows. In the courtyard I also did a massive cyanotype. I used some plants and cuttings from the museum greenhouse and also some I found outside. I really enjoyed making it, but it was very hard to wash it as it was about 10 times bigger than the sink. One of them worked really well, the other one wasn't so good, so I've decided to paint beetroot juice over some of the white areas and print anthotypes inside of the cyanotype print to make it a bit more interesting. This is the museum dodo, which is my favourite animal, and we took some pictures from the herbarium archive with old pictures of the sea and people on holiday, and I mixed them with pictures I'd taken of the dodo on Photoshop. Sometimes I replaced people with a dodo, sometimes I made the dodo do things like surfing, sitting on the beach. I've also looked at the model dodo and edited him to be in Buckingham Palace, and he's wearing a ruff. I've been learning how to process my 35mm film using a technique called caffeinol. I mixed coffee with vitamin C and washing soda and then processed the film with that. It worked really well the first time and I'm really happy with the resulting images, and I'm looking forward to using the scanner to make them bigger. I've been doing anthotypes at the museum and at home. It's where you mix natural dye from things like berries or herbs and spices and paint it on paper. After that, you can put a positive image or physical object like a plant on top and expose it to sunlight. I prefer the beetroot, but I think the turmeric comes out a bit stronger. And it doesn't take as long either. It's just a bit easier to do. But it's harder to paint on because it gets a bit pasty. With the cyanotypes that didn't work perfectly, I cut them out into other shapes, such as birds, bees and feathers. I've taken pictures and printed them on acetates, and I'm using them to print onto leaves. At home I've used the UV box to print cyanotypes with plants from my garden, and I've also used my darkroom at home to make photograms with plants and leaves that I found outside. I've never done chlorophyll printing before, but now I know how to do it. I want to do it again in the summer when there's more light, and I also want to stitch on top of chlorophyll prints with embroidery. When this residency ends, I'm going to carry on trying to do more natural printing and developing film with cathanol, because it's a little bit better for the environment.